The door slammed shut behind her, the sound echoing through the empty hallway like a gunshot. Emily's heart pounded in her chest, each beat echoing the desperation she felt. She leaned against the wooden frame, trying to catch her breath, tears blurring her vision. The words of her father still rang in her ears, sharp and cutting. "You bring shame to this family. Get out!" he had roared, his face red with anger. She wiped her tears with the back of her hand, her fingers trembling. How had it come to this? How had her little side hustle turned into a full-blown nightmare? Emily had started her Onlyfans account on a whim, just for some extra cash. She was never particularly shy, and the allure of easy money had been too tempting to resist. But she had never imagined it would lead to this, being cast out of her own home. A soft knock on the door pulled her from her thoughts. She looked up to see her sister, Sarah, standing there with a hesitant expression. "Emily," Sarah said softly, stepping inside and closing the door behind her. "Are you okay?" Emily managed a weak smile, though it didn't reach her eyes. "Okay? I've been better." Sarah sighed, shifting uncomfortably. "Look, I know Dad was harsh, but I get it. What you're doing isn't exactly conventional." Emily's jaw tightened. "It's not illegal, Sarah. It's not like I'm hurting anyone." "I know," Sarah said quickly, holding up her hands. "And I'm not judging you. In fact, I think you're amazing. You found a way to make your own money, on your own terms. But, well, Mom and Dad just don't see it that way." Emily nodded, understanding dawning on her. "So, what now? Do they want me gone by morning?" Sarah bit her lip. "They want you to delete the account, to stop everything and come back to being normal." Emily laughed bitterly. "Normal? There is no normal anymore, Sarah. Not for me." Before Sarah could respond, the door flew open again, and their mother stormed in, her face set in a disapproving scowl. "Emily, we need to talk," she said, her voice cold. Emily straightened, crossing her arms over her chest defensively. "What about, Mom?" Her mother's eyes flicked to Sarah, then back to Emily. "We've decided that you need to leave, tonight." Emily's breath caught in her throat. "Tonight?" "Yes," her mother snapped. "We can't have you here, bringing more shame upon us. Pack your things and go." Emily felt the room spin around her, the walls closing in. "But where will I go?" Her mother waved a hand dismissively. "That's not our concern. You made your bed. Now lie in it." Tears welled up in Emily's eyes again, but she blinked them away, refusing to let them fall. She glanced at Sarah, hoping for some kind of support, but her sister was staring at the floor, clearly torn. "Fine," Emily said, her voice trembling. "I'll go, but I won't delete my account. This is my life, my choice." Her mother's eyes narrowed. "Then get out." Emily didn't wait for another word. She grabbed her phone and stormed out of the room, heading straight for her bedroom. Her hands shook as she threw clothes into an old suitcase, her mind racing. Where would she go? What would she do? As she packed, she heard footsteps approaching her room. She tensed, expecting another lecture, but it was Sarah who appeared in the doorway, her expression softer now. "Emily, wait," Sarah said, stepping inside. "Please, don't go like this." Emily stopped packing, turning to face her sister. Like what? Defeated? Because that's how they want me to feel, but I won't give them the satisfaction. Sarah shook her head. No, that's not what I meant. Look, I know you're upset, and I know you're scared, but I believe in you. You can do this. Emily frowned. Do what? Exactly? Live on the streets? Sarah smiled faintly. No, prove them wrong. Show them that you can be successful, that you can thrive without their approval. Emily's grip on her suitcase handle tightened. And how do you propose I do that? Sarah stepped closer, lowering her voice. Keep doing what you're doing. Make more money. Be famous. Make them regret ever doubting you. Emily stared at her sister, uncertainty warring with determination. You really think I can do that? Sarah nodded firmly. I know you can. Emily took a deep breath, letting Sarah's words sink in. Maybe she could do it. Maybe she could show her family that she wasn't just some shameful mistake. She could build something real, something powerful, all on her own. All right, Emily said, her voice steadying. I'll do it. For me. And for you. Sarah reached out, squeezing her sister's hand. Good. Now, let's get you out of here before Dad changes his mind. Emily nodded, grabbing her suitcase and following Sarah out of the room. As they walked down the hallway, she couldn't help but glance back at the life she was leaving behind. It hurt, but there was also a spark of excitement in her chest. A new beginning lay ahead, one she could shape herself. They reached the front door, and Sarah opened it, stepping aside to let Emily pass. Remember, Sarah said as Emily crossed the threshold, you're not alone. I'm here for you, no matter what. Emily gave her sister a grateful smile. Thanks, Sarah. I won't forget it. With that, she stepped out into the night, the cool air hitting her like a slap. She took a deep breath, ready to face whatever came next. Her journey had only just begun. As she walked down the driveway, she pulled out her phone, opening her Onlyfans app. She paused for a moment, staring at the screen, then began typing a new post. New pics up tonight, she wrote, supporting myself and loving every minute of it. She hit send, feeling a surge of empowerment. This was her life now, and she was ready to take control. Emily sat on the edge of her new, modest bed in the small apartment she had rented with the money she had earned from her OnlyFans account. She was scrolling through her messages, a mixture of satisfaction and defiance bubbling within her. Her family's rejection still stung, but Sarah's support had given her the strength to continue. Unbeknownst to Emily, her parents and sister were huddled around a laptop in their living room, their faces a mix of shock and fascination as they watched one of her latest posts. The screen flickered with explicit images, each more daring than the last. Emily's mother gasped, covering her mouth with trembling hands. Her father clenched his fists, his jaw tight. Sarah, however, felt a pang of empathy for her sister. Back at her apartment, Emily decided to film a new video. She lit candles to create a soft, intimate atmosphere. The flickering flames cast shadows on the walls, and the scent of lavender filled the air. She positioned the camera carefully, ensuring it captured her every move. Stripping off her clothes, she stood in front of the mirror, admiring her body. She took a deep breath, feeling a rush of excitement and nervousness. As she began to dance seductively, her family watched in rapt attention. Her mother averted her eyes, unable to watch her daughter in such a state. Her father gritted his teeth, torn between anger and a strange sense of pride. Sarah, meanwhile, felt admiration for Emily's bravery and determination. Emily reached for a bottle of oil, pouring a generous amount into her hands. She massaged it into her skin, feeling the slick coolness spread over her flesh. Her nipples tightened, reacting to the sensation. She moaned softly, the sound reverberating through the quiet room. The camera caught every detail, every glistening curve of her body. Her family could hear the sounds of Emily's pleasure through the speakers, adding an extra layer of intimacy to the scene. Her mother sobbed quietly, while her father's face turned red with suppressed emotion. Sarah bit her lip, feeling a warmth spread through her body as she watched her sister take control of her life in such a bold way. Emily moved closer to the camera, her fingers trailing down her body, dipping between her legs. She spread her thighs, revealing herself to the lens. Her breath quickened, and she began to stroke herself, the friction sending jolts of pleasure through her. She closed her eyes, lost in the sensations, her hips bucking rhythmically as she touched herself. Sarah couldn't tear her eyes away from the screen. A blush spread across her cheeks as she watched Emily lose herself in the act. There was something mesmerizing about the way her sister moved. So confident and unrestrained, she felt a stirring between her own legs, a longing that mirrored Emily's actions. Emily's moans grew louder, more desperate. She could feel her orgasm building, the pressure mounting with each thrust of her fingers. She cried out, her voice echoing in the small room. Her body trembled as she climaxed, waves of pleasure crashing over her. She panted, her chest heaving as she came down from the high. Her family watched in stunned silence. Her mother wiped away tears, her heart aching for the daughter she had cast out. Her father remained rigid, his mind racing with conflicting emotions. Sarah, however, felt a resolve forming within her. She admired Emily's strength and wanted to show her support in a more tangible way. The next day, Sarah texted Emily, *I need to talk to you. Can we meet? Emily stared at the message, her heart pounding. She hadn't expected to hear from her family again, especially not so soon. Curiosity and a glimmer of hope made her respond with a yes. They met at a quiet cafe. Sarah looked nervous, her hands twisting in her lap. Emily sat across from her, trying to keep her cool. "What's going on, Sarah?" she asked, her voice steady. Sarah took a deep breath. "I watched your videos. I get why you're doing this, and I want to help." Emily's eyes widened. "Help? How?" Sarah hesitated, then leaned in closer. "I want to be part of it, with you." Emily's heart skipped a beat. The idea of sharing this with her sister was both thrilling and terrifying. "Are you sure? It's not just about the money, Sarah. It's personal." Sarah nodded. "I know, but I want to stand by you. Let me show you how much I support you." Emily studied her sister's face, searching for any hint of hesitation or regret, but all she saw was determination and affection. She swallowed hard, her mind racing with possibilities. "Okay," she said softly, "but only if you're really sure." Sarah smiled, relief washing over her. "I am. Let's go home and start filming." Emily nodded, her heart pounding with anticipation. They left the cafe together, heading back to Emily's apartment. The evening sun cast long shadows as they walked, the world around them fading into the background. All that mattered was the connection between them, the new chapter they were about to write together.